How to Increase Your Reading Speed, Learning Abilities, and Comprehension by Logan, Davidson. Speed Reading. How to Increase Your Speed, Learning Abilities, and Comprehension by Logan G. Davidson. Introduction. Congratulations on downloading Speed Reading. How to increase your reading speed, learning ability, and comprehension. And thank you for doing so. The following chapters will discuss what speed reading is, how to break bad reading habits, techniques on how to successfully read, the tips on reading effectively, and maintaining good reading comprehension. The key difference between speed reading and normal reading is that in speed reading, the reader uses visual thinking processes rather than auditory thinking processes as they read, due to the fact that most people learn to read by saying the words aloud as they go. It is a common problem to become dependent on knowing how the words sound and on hearing what they sound like inside your head. Speed reading removes this almost completely. So you have to rely on how the words look. Speed reading, as we know, it has been around for about 60 years. It has been used by many prominent figures, including several United States presidents. There are a number of classes that have taught speed reading in schools, business, government, and universities. The benefits of speed reading are widespread and will help you with more than just reading. By learning how to speed read, you will eliminate bad reading habits, learn valuable study skills, improve visualization, increase reading comprehension, and of course, be able to read much quicker than you are currently able. There are plenty of books on this subject on the market. Thanks again for choosing this way. Every effort was made to ensure it is full of much useful information as possible. Chapter 1, Ways to Eliminate Your Bad Reading Habits. Speed reading is a skill like any other skill needs to be cultivated and learned over time. When we are young, first learning to read, however, we are not taught how to speed read. In fact, it is quite the opposite. As a child, you were likely taught to read each word individually, to sound the words out verbally. If they were not familiar, although this is effective for young beginners, those habits are not effective for the long term. Some of the main problems adults have with reading quickly stems from having been taught how to read past these rudimentary steps. Self-vocalization, rereading, inefficient reading, lack of concentration, and even poor breathing or being uncomfortable while reading can lead to a lot of problems while trying to read quickly. These types of issues can also lead to frustration with reading and an unwillingness to read as an adult. Slow reading and unwillingness to read have serious consequences as an adult. Work, school, and personal life can all be affected. Productivity and comprehension go down, while frustration goes up. For example, not being able to read news articles promptly could mean falling behind at work or school, or failing to remain an informed citizen and facing embarrassment from peers. However, it is only a matter of correcting habits and learning new techniques to improve your reading speed. Once new habits are well established, improvement in how you read and how much you get out of reading will be immediately noticeable. On average, a person reads about 200 to 300 words per minute, which at that speed, a person would talk an entire 8-hour workday. Would take an entire 1-hour workday to finish reading a novel. A very slow pace indeed. What kind of difference would it make if you could double or triple that speed? Well, most people can't make it over 1,000 words per minute. What a feat. At that speed, it will only take 2 hours to read the same book. Some people can even make it well past that speed mark to 2 or even 3,000 words per minute. Although that is not a necessary goal for many people, imagine how much you could get done at that speed. So being So begin your journey to become a faster and better reader. You should start by understanding why you have problems reading in the first place. Some of the easiest to correct problems involve being uncomfortable while reading. This stems from the needing prescription glasses or having an undiagnosed condition, such as dyslexia, attention deficit disorder, ADD. If you have over 35 chances, if you are over 35, chances are you will need reading glasses. There are fronts to aid dyslexia and a wealth of advice on focusing with ADD is available. If something like this sounds like it might be the underlying cause of your inability to quickly read, be sure to address those issues before continuing to learn to speed read, as you will not be able to make good progress and become disappointed. Other ways of being uncomfortable while reading can stem from bad lighting, bad posture, forgetting to breathe, or moving the head while reading. Make sure before you start to read, you are in an lit space, sitting comfortably with a book at a proper height for back, shoulders, and neck support. You should not be hunching over your book. If you are using a computer, read or a computer to read, or while reading, make sure everything is in a position where you do not have to keep moving your head up and down or side to side while working. This could easily cause extreme. Remember to breathe and to eat right. This is a surprisingly common mistake, especially when studying intensely. Your brain needs oxygen and sugar to function correctly. And if you are hungry or not breathing well, you will not be able to remember what you are reading later. You should develop a habit of breathing deeply from the diaphragm every few breaths to keep your brain in working condition. The speed reading and speed condition and speed reading possible. Another thing to keep in mind while reading is to keep a dictionary, digital or print, nearby. It is easier to remember what you are reading for the long term if you are not struggling with understanding the material. There is no reason not to look something up. Do not worry about being embarrassed for not knowing something. Don't become too focused on speed and focus on improving the exception to this rule. The exception to this rule is well first practicing speed read. If you stop too much, you will never build the necessary muscle memory to read quickly. This is explained in this chapter. However, reading without comprehension is pointless in the long run. Make sure to eliminate all other distractions while reading, especially when you are new to speed reading. Read in a quiet space or use noise canceling headphones without music to stop background sounds from interrupting your focus. Music can be detrimental to focus. So even if you think it helps, try reading without any playing while learning to speed read. It could be a bad habit that is actually making it harder for you to remain focused or remember what you are reading. If you chronically have trouble focusing on what you are reading, but don't know why, don't worry because speed reading can help with that. When you are reading at a slow pace, your mind has more time to think of things besides what you are reading, and you can easily get lost in your own thoughts and forget everything you read. Reading at a faster pace gives your mind less time to ponder other things. It's a lot harder to zone out while taking in more information. After ensuring you are comfortable in removing distractions, look at which other bad habits you might have. A very common one is a remnant of young reading skills is sub-vocalization. Sub-vocalization, otherwise known as silent speech, is internally reading a word out loud, imagining the sound. There are generally three types of vocalization and sub-vocalization that are recognized. After ensuring you are comfortable and removing distractions, look at which other bad habits you might have. A very common one is that a remnant of young reading students of vocalization. I read that already. Imagining sounds, they are gently detached to logo that can be recognized. One, mouthing words as you read, almost reading vocally to yourself. Imagining mouthing the words to yourself as you read without moving your mouth. Being aware of how each word sounds, but not waiting for them to be spoken internally before moving on. Both the first two are common with people who did not receive further instruction on how to read, which is usual in modern education and places a serious damper on how fast you can read. If you do either if you do either of the first two types of vocalization, your reading speed is essentially capped at 150 words per minute, well below the average, and your focus is too intent on the sound of the words you are reading instead of the readings.